The future is here.
Apple has finally released the new M1 Max, and there are a lot of questions that need to be answered about the same. I'll be trying to cover up the entire lineup. Basically, in the while that Apple announced in the last WWDC their chip to the Apple Silicon and finally releasing them, there were a lot of speculation regarding how these chips will perform and everything. We saw a multitude of takes from positive to negative when it comes to this chip from the Intel to Apple Silicon. Let us try to dive deeper into this and understand what actually is the change that has been brought about. So, in the Apple event that has been brought about, we saw three models launching: the new MacBook Pro, the new MacBook Air, and the new Mac Mini. All of them basically launched at the same starting price as they were earlier with the Intel model, and based on what I have seen in terms of the performance boost, it has been a completely game changer. I have a few benchmarks on my hand when it comes to the performance of these Macs, and it literally just annihilates the competition in ways that I would have never thought about before. The generational leap that you can see with the launch of the M1 Max is just so high that in my lifetime I've never seen a generation leap from one year to the next to be this much. So one of the standard benchmarks for measuring how powerful a CPU is called the Geekbench. It's basically a cross-platform benchmark and it's made by Primate Lab. And based on the score that the M1 has been able to achieve in this benchmark, you are going to be surprised. Basically what we can see here is that the score of the Mac Mini 2020 is 1745, and compare that to the most powerful chips today from AMD as well as Intel alike. You can just see the difference. Basically, a $600 Mac beats out the processors that are used in $3,000 to $4,000 machines. The Ryzen 9 5950X just a month ago was considered as the pinnacle of technology that comes to the CPU, and right now a small Mac Mini just trumps it. And you can also see that these scores are basically double of what the scores of the earlier Mac models were, and considering that you are getting double the performance for the same price, it's just an absolute game changer. Even if I'm comparing this to Cinebench, this benchmark basically focuses on the graphical prowess of your processor, and even in that case, we can see that this M1 Mac Mini scores just the same as the latest Intel Core i7 processor on any of the laptops that we have out there. So this Mac Mini score that you are seeing here is basically the same score as what the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro will be scoring in these benchmarks. A 28 watt i7 processor has been trumped out by just a 10 watt chip. Look at the performance per watt gains here. Okay, let's move on to a real-time comparison. Basically, we are seeing the performance of the Final Cut Pro here. Final Cut Pro is a video editing software that most of the professionals use in this field. And what we can see is, let us compare the render time for a regular H.264 file, which is basically the general video format, MP4. What we can see is that the older MacBook Air, which was basically running on the older Intel platform, it took 189 seconds, and compare that to the new MacBook Air that takes 78 seconds, which is surprisingly almost just 10 seconds more than the Mac Pro performance. The Mac Pro with a 28 core Xeon processor costs around $9,000 to $10,000, and that is beaten out by just $1,000 MacBook Air. Can you look at the jump here? This whole thing that the M1 has brought about has been a game changer, and you can see that by now. What more I want to talk about here is whether this ARM platform is basically a viable platform for you. And looking at where the future is headed, the older x86 platform which AMD and Intel ran on, this is a time to depart from that. Considering the performance per watt gain that we have and the performance that we already are getting from ARM platform based processors, if we can look at even the Android side of things, the new Snapdragon 8 series chips are really powerful in themselves too. Although they are not as powerful as compared to what Apple has reached with their A14 and A13 chips, it's still much powerful, and they give out much more performance per wattage than what Intel and AMD has been capable of all these years. So I think it's the time to move on from this older x86 platform. It's basically decaying right now, and jump chips across to the ARM platform. I really hope within a few years we see the new Surface Pros and even other Windows laptops also finally investing into the ARM platform, and this future has been brought about by Apple. Over on Instagram, I asked if any one of you had any questions regarding the new M1 platform. Let's go through those questions and see if those can be answered right now. So the first question I got was, what are the advantages of the M1 chip over the Intel Core? And apart from the performance advantages that we have seen, another one that comes into my mind is the gain in the battery department. What we have seen is the new MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro battery life has jumped to 15 to 20 hours compared to just meager 8 to 10 hours which they already gave. This is a huge game changer when it comes to portability of these laptops. And now I know that if I have a MacBook Air or MacBook Pro, I can basically go 2 days without a charger and easily work off the same. Another thing is the thermals. With Intel, Apple was basically limited in terms of how much it can push their processors to because of its thermal capacity. And we have already seen how much it had to throttle these Intel processors just to keep the temperatures in check, and even then they overheated a lot. Now this is not a problem at all. running these benchmarks, the processor didn't even cross 40 degrees centigrade. Compared to it reaching 100 degrees centigrade within a few minutes of starting any benchmark on the Intel platform, this is a huge jump. And I hope this can be utilized in making even more powerful processors with better thermal constraints. That would mean that the Apple Silicon based future iMacs and the MacBook Pro 16-inch would be just a beast of their own. Another question I got was, will all my apps run on M1 Mac? It is kind of a mixed bag question. In my opinion, 98% of your apps which are using right now would already run on the new M1 Mac, either natively or through their translation layer. I would actually add up a link in the description of this video, and that actually has a list of all the software that already are supported. That would be helpful for you if you need to check it out. And the final question that I got was whether Apple intend to support the promises that they made during the keynote. And I know that it's the first generation thing. Apple's first iPad was supported only for 3 years compared to 5 to 6 years of support life that any iPad got. Or the first Apple Watch got a support for 2 years and it just got shelved as fast as possible. So I have hope for the new M1 Mac to be supported for the next 3 years at least. But let's keep our fingers crossed and it be supported for the 7 to 8 years as any other Macs are supported today. If you have any other questions regarding the new M1 Mac, please let me know in the comments below. You can also follow me on Instagram on this Instagram ID. Please like, share and subscribe if you like the video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.